I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did.
What's up guys, Jim Collector back again with another posing video this time. Now, bit of a precursor, I am not a master poser at all, definitely not. These are just poses that I've managed to pull off while messing around with my copy of Kenobi Vader for the last 2 or 3 weeks it's maybe been. So here we have our first pose. So this is my favorite of all of these, I'm not gonna lie. This is the damaged leaning over pose. I really like this. This is kind of my take on a Kenobi scene that we've done before, and I did use this pose in my unboxing video as well, and I just think it just suits this version of Vader really well because it looks angry and injured, and that's exactly how he is in this scene, so it translates for me really well. And of course you've got the good light up effects here as well. I have got a lightsaber connected, not that you can really tell. So in this video we're going to go through a few different poses, starting with this one, and I'll kind of show you how I pull them off. Okay, so for this pose the main thing we need to do really here is kind of open up this leg bit. We're also going to be incorporating a little bit of swivel throughout the chest motion here as well. So the first thing you kind of need to do is take this thigh, I hope you can see this, and rotate it out to the side slightly. So I'm just rotating this out to the side, then I'm pushing that forwards and creating a bit of a bend. So this is our first motion here. I'm then going to twist the torso bit as well, just slightly, like so. Now, if you are worried, this does put a little bit of strain probably through the suit, so this isn't for the more wary collector. We're then going to tilt the head down ever so slightly. Now, this kind of gives us that leaning pose, but like this, he will just fall over. So we need to stretch that back leg out ever so slightly, like so. Now that's kind of given us that pose, and as you can see, he stands up just fine like that. Now, in terms of the cape, all I like to do here is just kind of cover the wires, just like so. And then I like to push this back and bring this arm kind of forwards, like this. This kind of gives him a leaning, damaged kind of pose. And then from here, it's just small micro adjustments. So a little bit of lean there to the body, and then just readjust that cape because it does like to fall forwards. However, if you do like the cape like that, you can keep it in that position. And there we go. This is an injured leaning Darth Vader, kind of reminiscent of the Kenobi show. All right, so now we're going to move on to our next pose. All right, guys, so here we have pose number 2, keeping the battle damaged head, but now we've got a bit more of a ready to fight kind of position. So pose number 1, he just had his helmet slashed, he's recovering. Now he's kind of ready to get back into the fight with Obi-Wan, as it were. Or at least this is my interpretation of kind of how that would look. Not necessarily exactly as the show would show, but we'll go through how to kind of pull off this pose in a minute. But I really do like how this one looks as well. So if we turn him to the side, one thing I like about this, depending from the angle, you either have a clean Vader or you have your damaged Vader as well. Now the one thing I'll say about this pose, he is a bit precarious the way he's kind of stood up here, so actually he wants to fall over now, which is a bit annoying, but there we go, I've got him back up. So yeah, so there's a few different kind of ways you can display this, to be honest. I mean, most of us will have it just head on, but I do like that depending which kind of side you look at it and kind of changing your perspective, as it were, it kind of changes up the pose quite nicely. And again, we'll go through it, but you can see essentially this is a lunging pose here, kind of ready to do battle. And there's lots of little different things you can do with this as well. I've obviously got the cape swept back because that's how I like that it looks. But this is our second pose. I do quite like it. In fact, this is how I've had him displayed. This is how I've had him displayed the last couple of days. But right, for now, what we'll do is we'll get straight into how to pose it. Alright then, so for this pose guys, the first thing we really want to start off with is the legs. So the main thing here that you want to do with the legs is, firstly, we want him in a lunging pose, so we're going to bring this leg up to the side like so, and then rotate it out ever so slightly. We're then going to bring it up like so, into a bit of a leaning position, just kind of like that. So he's lunging forwards. All we're going to do there is we're going to bring this back leg back ever so slightly. Try not to put too much strain. So as you can see, we have this lunging position. Now from here, he's probably not going to want to stand. Oh no, he wants to stand today. So there we go. So that is the position we want. We then need to bring him to the side here. And what we're going to do from there, excuse me, is we're going to twist his head. Bosh. So he's looking in the position we want. In a minute, we might adjust the head sculpt. But now the key bit here is the shoulders. So we want him in a lunging position. So this shoulder needs to come forwards. This shoulder needs to go back. And we need to add a bit of a crunch into his waist as well. So to do that, I am gonna essentially bend and twist his torso, just like so, okay? So all that was a bit of, let's get him back into his lunge, twisting the upper body down and then creating a bit of a lean so that the back shoulder is higher than the front shoulder, okay? That's kind of key to this position. Now from the side, you can see he's in that nice lunge position here. What we next want to do is sort out these arms. So being careful of the sharp bits on each side, we're going to lift the back arm up, being careful just of that kind of chest piece there. Lift that arm up and then bring this other one up slightly as well. Okay, so now he's in that position there. We're then just going to go for a few micro repositioning. So I'm going to get him to tilt down, minding that helmet ever so slightly more, just putting a bit more pressure kind of throughout the body. And then he's into this kind of leaning position here. And that, guys, is pretty much how to get this pose out. So it's not the most difficult. From here, what you want to do, move that cape out to the side. He is in a motion pose, so we need to think of that. But you can see his weight is mainly on this front leg as well, which is really where we want it. And then from the side, you have that leaning pose. Now for the lightsaber, just adjust as you wish. If one of the hands falls out, don't worry. So there we go. I've actually dropped that arm down a little bit, just to kind of give the lightsaber a more upright position. And there we are. We have that leaning forward pose, post or pre-fight with Obi-Wan Kenobi after his helmet's been slashed. So now on to pose 3. Right then, here we have pose number 3, and for this one I'm pulling out a companion piece with the Grand Inquisitor as well, just so we can see how he stacks up next to him. And I have to say, Vader dwarfs the Grand Inquisitor. I don't remember if there's this much difference in height in the show, but there very much might be. It's been a minute since I've watched it. But here we have a nice, again, museum pose with the two standing, in my mind, on a Star Destroyer, kind of planning the capture of the fleeing refugees before Vader goes down to fight Kenobi again. So again, referencing obviously the Kenobi show, this is a nice easy pose for Vader, especially if you want that clean look rather than that damaged look. You can see all the chest plate lit up here as well. It looks really nice, and the Grand Inquisitor and Vader together do make a really nice display piece. I'm not going to do a how-to on this pose specifically, just because it's quite easy. You just have him standing straight up, and then you bend the elbow behind the back, which is nice and easy to do. Here's a bit of a closer up of the two together, and as I said, they look really nice. And if you wanted to go the clean route with this Vader, or if you had two bodies, then this is a nice pose to do. Alright, on to our final pose. And here is our final pose. Kind of going classic with this one and trying to recreate Empire Strikes Back, the well, not final, the battle between Vader and Luke, where Luke unfortunately finds out that Darth Vader is in fact his father, which is not something you really want to find out here. So this is a bit of a creative license on that, should we say, but this is kind of what I'm going for. I'm going for the exact moment where he asks him to join him to overthrow the Empire and join the dark side, and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm kind of going for here. It's a bit of an iconic pose, so let's go in on how to pull this off. Alright, so to try and kind of recreate that Empire Strikes Back, I am your father kind of scene, it's quite an easy pose to pull off, to be quite honest. So the first thing you need to do, as always, I like to start with the legs. So we need this front leg here to be angled slightly forwards with a slight bend in the knee. It doesn't have to be much of a bend, just enough to kind of imitate a step forwards. What you then want to do is make sure he's balancing, which he now is. The next thing we need to do is he's kind of meant to be leaning forward. So keep him part of the waist. We lean him forward slightly. And then being careful with this piece, we lift the arm out to the side. And then we kind of bring the arm forwards and extend like so. Just being careful of the sharp corners here. We then want to twist the head, looking in the direction of the hand. And again, continue to kind of tweak and have him leaning forwards ever so slightly. In this instance, I'm going to have to bend that leg in just a bit, just to kind of create that tweak. There we go. I'm then going to have to bring that back leg in ever so slightly here. With the cape from this kind of instance, it's again really up to you. I like it away from the lightsaber. Now in the scene, he doesn't have his lightsaber ignited. I just kind of like this for a display purpose. I think it looks really nice. But obviously you could do this without the display. And there we go. From here, it's just a few fine tweaks to kind of recreate that scene. Oh, there goes the hand. As much as possible. As you guys know, these hands are an absolute pain to try and keep on. So I sometimes don't even fully connect them, which is why mine popped off just like that. And there we go. That kind of recreates the Empire Strikes Back, I am your father scene. Alright guys, that wraps us up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some good ideas of some poses you can do and kind of have a bit of an idea of some of the limitations that this figure has and kind of where you can really push it while being safe. I've tried all these poses a few times now and I've had no damage to the suit at all. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope to see you in another video. Thanks a lot and I'll see you soon.